Anna McMillan is joining me now from LDS Hospital. She is the behavioral health manager, and we're talking teenagers today. On the show, I'm a good one to do this with you because I have a preteen and a 14-year-old. And a lot of the time, you just blow off a lot of their behavior, don't you, to teen stuff,
yes.
right? They're not happy, they're moody, they can get grouchy,
right.
They're up and down. When is it more serious than that, Anna?
It's more serious when you notice changes in the behavior. So you get to know, you obviously know your teenager, and you know what their normal behaviors are. So when you see changes in behavior, so if they become more isolated, if there's changes in appetite, sleeping, if their grades start slipping, big things like that. Obviously, you'll notice the subtle changes that are kind of normal with teenagers because they're going through a lot of development and things like that, but just the big changes. And you'll know because you'll be worried. You'll have a sense.
We have a couple of those on the screen right now. Like you said, changes in appetite, changes in sleep, a drop in grades. Just a sudden drop is a warning sign.
That's a warning sign,
okay, yeah. More irritable than normal, socially isolated, and they complain about physical ailments.
Yeah, so a lot of times depression and anxiety will manifest itself physically. So headaches, stomach aches, things like that, wanting to stay home from school because they don't feel good. Things like that are to notice.
So what can parents do?
Parents stay very involved. I know teenagers want to have their own life. They want to be themselves and, you know, kind of shy away from parents, which is normal. But parents need to ask questions. How was your day at school? What did you learn about? How are your activities? Know who your kids' friends are. Things like that. A hard one is social media. Facebook, Twitter accounts, things like that.
But it's where they spend their time.
It is, and you have to be involved, ask to see what they're posting, and that's a hard medium to find, but I think that's really important because that's where they share some of their feelings.
We talked about this last week on the show, if you were watching, everybody. Remember that article that asked, is it okay to spy on your kids? How involved in their social media, in their world should you be? What would you say?
I would say be as involved as you can. Like I said, see what they're posting. If they're trying to hide things on Facebook or they don't want you to see their Twitter account, I would say kind of get that parental act and say, I need to see what you're posting.
Well, that's a warning sign, right?
It is.
When they
when they want to hide.
Well, and there's always something new. I mean, there's Snapchat. Are you on that? Are you on Twitter? Are you on? There's so many different ones to stay on top of. What about suicidal thoughts and discussing that with your kids? So, again, be very open. If you notice these changes in your child's behavior and they talk about hopelessness or worthlessness, talk badly about their appearance, things like that, to a certain degree it's normal, but really if they focus on death, if there's been a friend that's committed suicide or someone, a relative that's died, and they think more about death, so that's kind of the path that it starts down. Anna, what are you hearing from teens?
In sense of suicide?
Well, in general, what are they struggling with right now, and what do they wish their parents knew more about?
I think just their social life. It's, you know, the parents don't understand. They don't know what I'm like at school, things like that. They don't know my friends. So I think it's just being involved, letting them have a say in certain things, letting them, you know, to a certain degree, decide what they wear, decide what they eat. They want to have that control. So finding that balance of giving them some control is very important.
Letting them do their thing, but also watching over them while they do their thing. Well, coming from an uncool mom, and I have my cool moments, like you try, right? You try, but you want to relate with them somehow, and you need to find that thing to relate with.
Right. Some people it's sports, if your kid's in activities. Some people it's books, movies. Just find what your kid's interested in and show interest in that.
If you need more help, where should you go? You
can start with primary care physicians. You can always seek out therapists, psychiatrists, and if it's serious and you have true concern about your child's safety, go to the nearest emergency room, and there's always someone there that can help.
There is a crisis line, too, everybody, if you just need to talk. We're going to put that on your screen as well. Salt Lake County Crisis Line right there, 801-587-3000. And always LDS Hospital is so great with answering questions, and they do have services, behavioral health services, and if you need questions answered about anxiety, so many teens struggling with that right now, too. That's a good number to call. Anna, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being here, helping us teen moms out there, because it's a journey.
It is. It is.